now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Hey everybody, welcome back to your RBLR Rays show. I'm Ben. With me is nobody because I'm on here by myself. We're gonna run this solo, doing a fireside chat Rays style here. I know there's a lot of I don't want to say unjust negativity because what is this, a 7-game losing streak? Like, that's never fun. Like, you don't want to lose 7 games. Like, that's not what you really want to do. But it happens to everybody. It happens to every team, no matter who you are, who you think you are. So we're going to definitely get into that a little bit and kind of break down why this is happening and why it's not really something we can expect moving forward to continue in this way. So I'm not concerned in the slightest, and I hope you're not either. But I am concerned about you making sure you click the like, subscribe, follow button wherever you're listening to this. That would be amazing. If you could share this with someone, that would be great too, because that's kind of like the next step here that we're trying to get out, because we have good stuff. That you're listening to this, it's good, or you think it's really bad and you're listening to make fun of us. But either way, if you share it, we can reach more people that might think it's good or bad. Just do what you got to do. But we appreciate everybody for helping out and subscribing, following, all that stuff. So before we get into some of this, the news from this week, I do want to talk about some of the bigger headlines, which is, it was not unexpected, but I was a little surprised to see Drew Rasmussen will undergo Tommy John surgery. So he is going to be shut down for the rest of the season. And it's not Tommy John. It's like a Tommy John adjacent type of surgery, but he's not going to pitch again until at least like the middle of next year. So it is what it is. I was hearing that he would come back in September as a relief pitcher coming out of the bullpen, maybe multi-innings. That was definitely in the cards, but his consultation with the doctor in Texas, I think it was at James Andrews. I don't know. Either way, he had that outside consultation, getting another opinion from, just the team doctor, and they decided to go that route. So understandable. Can't fault him for that. I'm glad he avoided like a third Tommy John surgery, because I'm pretty sure like you only have like 2 of those extra ligaments in your body. Like, I think they take it from your hamstring or something. I don't know how the mechanics work, but he was kind of running out of ligaments. So you'd probably have to find a donor, which whatever he needs, he can have mine. I probably don't need it. I'm not going to be throwing 96 miles an hour anytime soon. So yeah, but Drew Rasmussen is definitely one of the big headlines there. And I guess the other thing would be Junior Caminero, Kyle Manzardo got to the Futures game. They played last night. Manzardo didn't get into the game, and Caminero, I believe, went 0 for 1. We've got the All-Star game coming up pretty soon. MLB draft is tonight. I'm really excited. I've got my eye on some guys that I think fit the Rays really, really well and should fit in and should fall into where they're picking later in that first round, because they do have the late first round pick and then the competitive balance pick. Going to get to double up on some talented players there. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, let's get into our news, our stuff from this week. So played the Phillies. That didn't go so well. Played the Braves. We're still playing the Braves right now. That's not going too well. It's really just been Sean Murphy who's doing all the damage for the Braves. So it's kind of, you're getting beat by one guy, which sucks, but it's also like you're getting beat by one guy. So that's it. There's a little bit of comfort in that, where it's like, if you can stop him, and he's probably not going to play today because he's not going to play 3 in a row as a catcher. I don't think. I hope not. So, it is what it is. But you've got the Phillies and the Braves. They're probably 2 of the hottest teams in baseball, honestly, lately. So it's kind of a perfect storm where the Rays are completely tired. They've played the most games in the first half. They've had the fewest days off. They've had the most games on a travel day. So like when they traveled to Chicago to face the Cubs or whatever, they played a game that same day. That's happened to them the most. They've had the most of those across different time zones as well. It's been a grind. And now we see, Josh Lowe has a family emergency. So he goes down on the restricted list or whatever. And then Jonathan Aranda, which is great, gets a shot here. I don't know how long he'll stay because Harold and Rayleigh are still on the roster. So Aranda doesn't really have a spot, but he's up, which is kind of cool to see. Javi Guerra comes up as Elvin Rodriguez did get DFA'd after his outing where he kind of picked up the pieces from Glasnow cramping again. Thankfully, Glasnow's fine, but never fun to see him leave the game. But he was probably going to leave anyways because he's on like his pitch innings limit type thing. So good for Elvin though, because he did. The Rays brought him up. They let him get some major league time this year. He definitely earned it, and they DFA'd him because he actually had a deal lined up to go pitch in Japan. He's gonna get paid. So really happy for him. He deserves it. He came in, ate some valuable innings, and kept the Rays in the game. Unfortunately, couldn't get a win there, but it is what it is. That happens. Every team's gonna, go on a 5, 6, 7 game losing streak every year. Like I said before, it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter who you think you are. It's going to happen to everybody. It happened to the Braves earlier this year. They've taken over as the best team in baseball. They had like a 5 or a 6 game streak, I believe, including getting swept by the Athletics. So the Rays didn't get swept by the Athletics. So I'm just saying it happens to everybody. And if we look historically at some of the really great Rays teams, like 2008, where they won 97 games, they had a 7 game losing streak and they had 55 wins in the first half of the season. All right. This year, they have 57 wins in the first half of the season with a chance to make it 58 today in this final game on Sunday here against the Braves to wrap this up. Another historically good Rays team, 2010 when they won 96 games. They had a 5 game losing streak, but their longest win streak was only 7. So they were pretty like back and forth, but they still won 96 games. But again, only 54 wins in the first half. 2019, when this current, I guess, golden generation, if you want to call it that, started out. Again, 2019, 96 wins, 5 game losing streak, only a 6 game winning streak, only 52 wins in the first half. They really went on a tear in that second half, but again, this 2023 Rays team is on track to be the best in franchise history. And last but not least, here the famous 100-win season. They had an 11-game win streak, very cool, but they also had a 7-game losing streak. So you can lose 7 games in a row and still win 100 games. And again, that 2021 team, they won 53 games in the first half compared to the 57 so far this season for the 2023 Rays. So things are comparatively, when you look at the really great Rays teams of the past, they're playing much better than those teams, which is really encouraging. So, but the goal isn't really to win 100 games. The goal is to get into the postseason and then make some noise once you're there. All you have to do is get in. It's a crapshoot once you get there for the most part, especially with the expanded playoffs and all the extra wild card teams and all those moving parts. So get into the postseason. Make sure you've got 3 good starting pitchers, about 5 to 6 like good bullpen arms with like 2 to 3 good bulk options, and a good enough offense, and you're set. And right now, that's what the Rays have. They still have. I know Shane McClanahan's hurt, but he's going to be fine. He's just dealing with some back stuff, and who isn't at this point of the year? Honestly, everybody's got something going on, so this break will be great. But they do have McClanahan, Glasnow, Eflin, and then possibly Taj if needed. I know he's been up and down, but he's a rookie, and rookies are usually not. Actually, they're almost always not very good. It's not even a matter of usually. It's like 80% of the time rookies are not very good. So it's nice that Taj has been, um, not unusable. He's definitely been, he's had his moments. He's had some really great highs and some low lows, but that's what being a rookie is about. There are a lot of inconsistencies that come with that, and he's going to continue to grow. He's a really great talent, but he might be better suited in like a multi-inning or short relief type role in the postseason, just given how his stuff would play up. And it's a bit easier to pull a guy who's a relief pitcher than it is to pull a starter in the postseason. Obviously everybody's kind of on a short leash, but I think that kind of role would better suit Taj. But basically, they've got the starting pitching. They have the bullpen now, especially with the emergence of Diekman, Stevenson, Armstrong's back, Kittredge is on his way. I've got some news on that coming up soon. Things are looking good to set up for the second half. And like I said before, the Rays had the fewest off days with the most games played in the first half. They've had the most innings pitched, the 4th most plate appearances. Like they've been working hard. So it's going to be really nice for them to have they have one of the lightest workloads in the second half schedule. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. It's gonna feel pretty good. It's gonna give them a nice break. And, Brandon Lau just got back. He's looking pretty in sync. I know he had a couple strikeouts last night, but he's still, since he returned in a couple games, his handful, he's at like a 150 something WRC plus. Like he's getting on base well. He's seeing the ball well. A lot of long at bats, which is what you want to see with Brandon Lau. So looks good there. But yeah, we really didn't learn anything this week other than the guys are tired. But we knew they would be tired at this point in the season because at the beginning we see the schedule and we're like, wow, that's a lot of travel days. That's a lot of games in a short amount of time. So um, you know, if you saw this coming because you looked at the schedule at the beginning of the year, you're probably not surprised or disappointed. If it's not a knock against anybody, but if this is your first season following baseball, you might be worried like, why are they playing bad now? It's really just fatigue. Like that's it. It can all be attributed to fatigue, and also it's a small sample too. It's been like 2 weeks where they haven't been themselves um, because of fatigue, but it's also a 2 week sample size. So, the Rays aren't going to be the 160 WRC plus offense they were in the first 2 months of the year, but they're also not going to be the 60 WRC plus team they've been the past 2 weeks. Neither of those is a reasonable expectation for this team, but they'll settle in somewhere in the middle, like maybe in the 110. I would like to see more than 110. That's always fun, but they'll be an above average offense. They'll be a top 10, maybe a top 5 offense, assuming everybody just stays fully healthy the rest of the way. Pitching staff, like we said before, is solid. The starters, they've got a top 3 starting rotation. And as of now, like a top 10 bullpen, like they've really turned it on. So I'm really excited about this team going forward and just how much the break is really going to benefit them, especially in this final, the last 2-3 months of the season. So yeah, that's basically all we've really learned though. Like there's no crazy positive or crazy negative takeaway from all this. It's just they're tired and they're gonna get through it. So yeah, but we still have had some pretty good performances. I know, despite these trials and the ups and downs, and lately it's been some downs, but that's part of the season. It's ebbs and flows. You got to know the game you're playing. Every person I've talked to that works in baseball, or every baseball player I've talked to, like even on this show, like we've interviewed Ben Heller, Hayden Erb, Gabe Rincones when he was in college at FAU. He's tearing it up in the Phillies system though right now, which is really cool. All of these guys have said the same thing, that like you have to know the game you're playing. You have to know there are inevitable ups and inevitable downs. Like it's just going to happen. And if you can continue to go about your business and stick to your routines and just kind of ride those waves and appreciate the good moments and learn from the not so good moments, you're going to be fine. Um, the guys that are getting super high or super low with everything that's happening, those are the ones that, it's sad to say, but they typically struggle more and they might not make it because they can't keep that level head. They can't keep their wits about them. So I think the same can be said for baseball fandom. It's really great and it's awesome to have fun when they're winning. Like they had that 13-game win streak to start the year. That was fun. It was a party. Um, but you can't get too high in those moments too, because that kind of stuff is unsustainable. And thankfully on the flip side, 7-game losing streak, you can't get too low about that either, because they're not going to go on another 7-game losing streak probably for the rest of the year. Like I feel really, actually I'm not going to say probably, I feel very confident they will not go on another 7-game losing streak. So you just have to take the good with the bad and appreciate all the moments, because that's just how baseball works, and that's kind of how life works in general. But anyways, before I got off track, I was going to mention the bat and the arm of the week, and I have full authority over this, so I get to push whatever narrative I want. So I'm definitely going to take advantage of it. So my bat of the week this week, I wanted to go Paredes because of his 225 WRC plus over the last 7 days, but I'm going to go with Brandon Lau for his 159. So his second highest WRC plus on the team, second highest FWAR, highest walk rate. He's just getting on base. He's still striking out a bit, but he's seeing a ton of pitches, which is what you want from someone who just got back from a pretty long injury. He said his back is feeling 100%. He's good to go. It seems like he's mentally in a good place too, the way he's out there. Like I said, seeing a ton of pitches, kind of lifting the ball. The home runs will come. He's got a couple doubles already. He's got a stolen base, which is cool, I guess. Don't really expect that too much from him, but he's a good base runner. He's not fast, but he's a good base runner. So yeah, I'm just really happy to have him back, and he's a valuable part of this offense, especially because of the power threat that he provides. There aren't really any. I mean, actually, there aren't any other proven bats on this team that have hit 30 home runs in a season before. And I know home runs. It's kind of you know I don't want to say it's an anti-analytic stat, but it's a counting stat. It's a fantasy baseball casual type of stat. You count home runs, but they're valuable. And when you have a guy who has proven that he can hit 30 of those in a season, um, he's someone that pitchers in the opposing lineup, they circle his name when they're preparing for, their next game. And there was actually it was the game against the Phillies. I was at I believe it was the middle game of that series. But there was so Harold Ramirez was on deck, and they had someone in, I forgot who was in, but they had a lefty warming to face Harold because they would rather face Harold Ramirez than put in a righty and have Brandon Lau pinch hit for Harold late in the game with runners on base. Like that tells you pretty much all you need to know about how other teams view Brandon Lau. And we also saw it the last time the Rays played the Red Sox in Fenway when they had that scheduled doubleheader for some terrible reason, horrible decision. I don't like those at all. It's a insanely tough workload, especially with what the Rays have faced with their schedule this year. But the Alex Cora called up two left-handed relievers to add to the bullpen. Like one of them was the 27th man, the other was replacing somebody who was injured or something like that. But, you know, adding lefty relievers to your bullpen who don't have major league experience, that's not an accident. Like nobody wants to have Brandon Lau facing a righty. His platoon splits are really not that bad. He could be an everyday player, but he is coming off his injury, so they will give him his rest as he needs it. But teams are afraid of him, even when he hasn't. He hasn't been his regular self because of these injuries, but they're afraid of him. So he's my bat of the week. He's definitely come out, uh, ready and locked in, and I'm excited for him in the second half. And that'll take me over to my arm of the week, who uh, who was it? Oh yeah, Elvin. I was gonna go Elvin Rodriguez because I'm just happy for him. He got his Rays debut. He worked really hard in the minors in Durham. He was pitching great. He got hurt, worked his way back, really grinded for that, and he earned a big paycheck over, I think, in Japan, I believe. I don't wanna get that wrong. Let me check. But it's really great for him because he came in, kept the Rays in the job in the game, and he's going to be getting paid. So uh, yeah, I can't complain about that. And it's really nice that the Rays gave him that opportunity, and then also to pitch in the majors, and then let him leave on his own terms. Because a DFA never feels good, but they DFA'd him so he could go get that bag over in, I think, Japan. So good for Elvin. Really happy for him, and he looked great. I think the Braves were a little surprised to see him come into the game because typically when the Rays call someone up like that, they're just kind of thrown in mop up duty in a blowout. But it was a close game, and yeah, I mean he carved him up, and I don't know how much of that was a lack of a scouting report or a lack of prep, but he still looked pretty sharp, so that was cool. And his stuff plus was decent. Command was pretty good too, but yeah, just great stuff from Elvin Rodriguez, and I'm wishing the best for him overseas there. I'm also wishing the best for all of our listeners here who are continuing to buy stuff from shop.rblrsports.com, where you can use promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY, and you get 10% off your order. Uh, you should do it. We've got some team inspired merchandise. Maybe we can start selling some official RBLR FC merchandise. I know we had our tournament yesterday. That was fun. My feet are bleeding. I popped my blood blisters. Uh, yeah, my back hurts. I definitely pulled a muscle in my back about 5 minutes in, but it's just fun. It's fun to be out there. I love the pain. I love competing. I love having fun. Who doesn't love having fun? And if you love having fun, you can buy a shirt from shop.rblrsports.com because shopping is fun too, I think. A couple more things here. We've got some injury and miscellaneous type news. Miscellaneous stuff, I do want to talk about the draft a little bit more, so I'll kind of get into that. And we also have our listener topic coming up. But just to talk about these injuries real quick, Shane is doing fine. Shane McClanahan, he's doing all right. His back stuff is he's getting treatment. He's definitely on pace to come back and start the third game after the All-Star break. So I'm not sure who will be pitching first, but they're probably going to be managing workload. So I can see why Shane would be coming out third, but he's, totally fine. He's on the IL, so he doesn't hog up a roster spot, but he's coming back fine. And Josh Fleming looked really, really good yesterday with no issues in a bullpen session. So he could be getting close to starting a rehab. It's going to take him some time to get built up, maybe a couple more bullpen sessions, a live batting practice, and then he'll probably head to the complex league, which is awesome. Really excited for getting Fleming back. He's It might not seem like it, but he's kind of like a higher floor Yanni Chirinos, and I kind of like Yanni in a bit of a shorter role. I don't know if Yanni's stuff. I mean, it plays okay in like the 4 to 5 inning type role, but in like a 1 or 2 or a 3 inning role, Yanni, he's a ground ball machine. Like there's no other way to say it. He does get the occasional strikeout, but he gets the ground ball. Sometimes they go in for a base hit, sometimes they don't, but when he's on the mound, you can almost guarantee he's going to get that ground ball. So he can be a valuable reliever in that role. I'd like to see him a bit more in that, but Fleming is a pretty safe long relief option. He's going to pitch more innings than earned runs he gives up in any given outing, and that's all you can really ask for from a fifth starter, honestly. He works hard, he learns from his mistakes, he makes good adjustments, and yeah, I'm just excited to be getting him back soon, maybe in the next month and a half. Um, we also have Andrew Kittredge. He is slated to throw one more time in the FCL, the Complex League, probably tomorrow. I believe they have a game. I'll have to check, but if not tomorrow, it'll be Tuesday. And then he was supposed to go to Montgomery, but all the pitching shuffling right now has made the Durham pitching staff a little shorthanded. So he will move up to AAA after his next Complex League outing. And he's going to pitch maybe, I want to say, like 3 to 5 outings, I believe I heard in AAA. So he's, I want to say 2, maybe 3 weeks away from coming back to the major league roster, and they're gonna have to clear some space for him because he is on the 60-day IL. So somebody might get traded or DFA'd or something, anything like that. But Kittredge is working his way back, and last but not least, really excited about this one. Colby White finally comes back after a roughly 3-week absence. Excuse me. I had to burp there. Got another one. Okay, I'm good. Colby White comes back. He pitched in the complex league. He faced 4 batters. He walked one, gave up a hit, struck out 2. So he apparently his stuff looked really sharp, and he just had some lingering soreness. I guess they wanted to be extra cautious, and he's looking good now again. So hopefully he'll be working his way up to Durham in a couple more outings, and just reinforcements are on the way. You know, and if the internal options don't work, that could lead us into our listener topic here that you all voted on Twitter. So we had 3 choices, or you could comment for something else. Uh, One of the choices we asked, would you want us to talk about the home run derby and all-star predictions? 2.6% of you said yes, so that's not good enough. We asked about, would you want to hear how we could improve the all-star selection process? Because Wander almost got snubbed, and Wander should not get snubbed. He's like one of the top, whatever war you look at, he's near the top of the leaderboards, and you have to have that player in the all-star game. But only 7.8% of you said you wanted to hear about that. So we're going to talk about the option that 87.8% of you wanted to hear about, which is, should the Rays make a splash in the trade market by the deadline? So normally I would pass that question off to Zach while I stall a little bit and try to think of an answer. So I'm stalling right now by sharing that with you, but no, I'm just kidding. I did my prep. Um, I'm not a fan of the big splash moves because you're paying for a name. You're not really paying for actual, like, a skill set or production or anything. Um, so I don't really think a splash. Maybe they'll do like a, I don't know, what's like a smaller splash, like a drop. Uh, I don't know, something like that. But it'll be like they'll make smaller moves. They continue to do that all the time. You can never have too much pitching. They're always active on the waiver wire. They're always active in trading minor leaguers and stuff like that. Rule 5 crunch this winter is going to be a pretty good one. So they're definitely going to try to move off some of those pieces. They did that. They started it with Alika Williams for Robert Stevenson. So we're going to see some of those types of moves where you acquire guys at the fringes, maybe package a couple Rule 5 guys for a reliever that's struggling. I know Chris Flexen is someone I'm really interested in since the Mariners DFA'd him and then the Mets DFA'd him. I really like Flexen. I think he could be a valuable innings eater type of guy with maybe some upside as a short inning reliever. And you could get him for free. Other teams are paying a salary right now, so why not take those free innings with a safe major league floor with a good upside and a short relief type of role? And Kyle Snyder's probably already got something planned, so it would be kind of nice to see if the Rays could get Flexen. But he's on waivers, so the National League teams, because he was DFA'd by the Mets, so National League teams with the lowest records are going to get first dibs on him. But if he slips through, the Rays will have a chance, but he'd have to slip pretty far. So we'll see about that. But I think it's going to be moves like that. Alex Lang with the Tigers started out really hot. He's a relief pitcher. He's fallen off a little bit lately. So, he might be someone that's kind of on the fringes for them. I'm not really sure. It's hard to kind of get a feel for other teams and how they value their guys internally because we don't work in other teams' front offices, unfortunately. We don't have, sources on the inside over there. But there are so many pitchers on the market. I've tweeted about a couple all year. I really like Jeremiah Estrada from the Cubs, but I don't really care about the name. It's more about like I want a platoon neutral fastball shape, so something that doesn't really cut or run very much. Those usually make the best late inning relievers for the Rays. Like think about Colin Poche, think about Fairbanks, think about Jason. Oh, Jason Adam, his kind of runs a little bit, but that type of that fastball where it's more rise over run or cut. It's much more platoon neutral. It plays well against both sides of the plate. He also has a pretty good slider that doesn't really slide either way. It's got that like gyro action where it goes down. So um, yeah, just a platoon neutral fastball on a budget, and I'm sold. Like I don't care about the name, except if it's a big name, I'm gonna shy away from that because it's gonna be too expensive. I'm not gonna pay for the name brand when the generic version is just as good. Like I'm on Singular now for my asthma. Like I'm not gonna pay for Singular. I'm gonna pay for Montelukast or whatever the generic thing is because it's the same thing, same ingredients. So you know, stop stop playing with money like that. Just do the budget friendly thing and ship off some Rule 5 guys. So they could make a splash. It's always possible. They listen to calls on everybody. They make offers on everybody. We know they offered Bryce Harper $50 million for 1 year back in like 2018 or something like that. They will do that stuff. They will make reasonable offers for players that they think would fit. They made an offer for Longoria this offseason. We don't know exactly what it was, but the fit just wasn't there. So Longo decided to stay closer to home in Arizona, which is understandable. But they do make those offers and they do listen to those calls. So again, I don't expect a splash. I just expect more pitching to be churned through and acquired and all that stuff. So should be fun. It should be really interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what kind of moves they make. And yeah, so that was a good choice for a topic. I know it's kind of popular right now, but uh, there's really no need on offense. Like the guys are tired. You can't say like they need XYZ because of a 2 week sample size, but then you ignore the 2 months when that same player was, you know, playing like an MVP. So you have to take the good with the bad, and it's just no player is going to be, you know, Hayden Herb said it when he was on actually. Like you take the top whatever that player makes like 30 starts in a season. Let's just say a starting pitcher, just because it helps with the round numbers. A starting pitcher, they make 30 starts in a year. You take their 10 best starts and their 10 worst starts and just throw those out. the middle 10 starts are a better representation of what type of player that pitcher is, and the same can be said for relievers. Like if a reliever makes 60 appearances, get rid of the bottom 20 and the top 20. That middle 20 is who they most likely really are. Um, a batter, if they have 300 plate appearances, ignore the first 100, the worst 100, and the best 100. Look at the middle. If they make 600 plate appearances, ignore the bottom 200 and the top 200. Like that's just how baseball works. It's truly it's humbling for sure. Like especially when you want to win every single game, but that's not the goal. The guys in the front office are keeping their level heads. Like they're not panicking, the players aren't panicking. It's frustrating. It's okay to be frustrated, but to panic, um it's ignoring a lot of context, and it's more of I think it's good to have emotional reactions. Like we're human, that's how it works. But when there are things that are letting you know that hey, this isn't sustainable, things are actually okay, and also this stuff happens to literally every team every season, if you're choosing to ignore that context, it's more of like an internal problem and not necessarily a problem with the team itself. So yeah, just keep a level head and continue to enjoy the best start in franchise history and what's looking like it's going to be the best team in franchise history. And they might add to that kind of that team. I mean, they're not gonna add to that team today, but they're gonna add to that system today in the MLB draft. First 2 rounds are tonight. Really excited about that. I'm gonna be watching the US women's team. I think they play at 4 today, and then the men's team play at 7. Soccer is my first love. Baseball is I'm really interested in baseball, but I'm so much more passionate about soccer, honestly. Like especially just playing, but I love the national teams for any sport. Anyways, we do have that draft tonight. Really excited about some of the high school talent that could go later in that first round and possibly fall to the Rays, but that's about it. That was our Fireside Rays chat. Definitely did my best FDR impression. If I had more time, I would have built a fireplace in the background. I don't know if he had that in his fireside chats, but I feel like it would fit the theme here. But there's nothing to worry about. Um, there's always, a light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. I'm not going to talk you off a ledge all the time because I don't know. I think people need to learn to self-regulate, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So that's what I'll leave it at. Actually, I'm gonna leave it at this. If you haven't already liked, subscribed, shared, you should do that. Please make sure you are leaving us reviews, 5 stars on everything, unless it goes higher than 5 stars, and go all the way to the maximum because you love us and you love what we do. And if you don't, sorry you feel that way. But thank you all for your support and everything, and go Rays.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.